New York's $16 billion Hudson River Tunnel. Together with Amtrak, the states of New York and New Jersey are launching an extensive multi-billion-dollar construction project aimed at preserving the Northeast Corridor, the nation's most significant train route. The nation's busiest passenger railroad needs expansion, upgrades, and future-proofing, and with its infrastructure being over a century old, it appears that this massive project has been long overdue. With a GDP of $1.2 trillion US, New York City is home to over 8.4 million people, making it undoubtedly one of the most significant cities in the country, a crucial hub for the nation's economy and culture on the East Coast. But the whole picture isn't painted by these numbers alone. In actuality, the city and the larger metro area that surrounds it are much more vital to the rest of the country. The nation's busiest and most extensive transportation hub is the New York metropolitan area, if not the busiest overall. More than 1 million commuters enter the city every day, and that doesn't even include those who are merely passing through or departing. Consider the two separate tubes that make up the North River tunnels. It's one of the few rail tunnels that crosses the Hudson River to link New York with nearby New Jersey. It may be the only train link between two big cities, but in reality it's one of the most significant in the nation, possibly even more so in New York than in the entire nation. It is a crucial crossing for the Northeast Corridor, which stretches from Washington, D.C., all the way up to Boston, bridging links to and from Miami, New Orleans, and Chicago. In addition, it accommodates reasonably priced and conveniently located commuter trains between both sides of the Hudson. This makes the 16-kilometer railroad run from Newark to Manhattan the busiest in all of North America, with up to 450 trains and 200,000 people passing through these two tunnels alone every day. Even though all of that might sound fairly amazing, there's one major issue that I haven't even touched on yet. The North River tunnels were constructed 113 years ago, even though they still sort of look like this today. Its age and the damage caused by Hurricane Sandy in 2012 are contributing factors to the massive water intrusion that is occurring right now. This intrusion affects the tracks and the bottom balance, and in particular, generates a lot of delay signals even when there are no delays. This is Stephen Sigman, the Gateway Development Commission's Chief of Public Outreach, who was gracious enough to do a quick interview with us for this video. However, even on days when there aren't any major delays due to the tunnel's age, you still experience massive backups because there is currently just one track in and one track out. You are aware that when your commute should only take 35 minutes, it instead takes 50. However, it's not the only issue. We haven't even begun our discussion on the New York Penn Station. Even though it's the busiest train hub in the nation, myself included, not many people like it. It's easy to see why so many people think this is the worst rail station in the city, given its convoluted layout and narrow passageways. At first glance, the answer to these issues could appear simple. Because of their age, the North River tunnels are gradually deteriorating. Then, as needed, fix them and update them to meet contemporary requirements. Isn't the layout of New York Penn Station incredibly unclear? Then, to ensure that people don't get lost, refurbish the entire area and make the signage more readable. That ought to solve the issues, right? Theoretically, that is, and some of these solutions will be implemented. But construction in New York City isn't exactly the cheapest or easiest thing to accomplish, and this is the busiest train segment in the nation, as we've already established. Its permanent closure for renovations would result in a serious transportation issue for the community. In addition to adding to the already heavy traffic on the city's highways, New York would miss out on billions of dollars worth of potential revenue. So how precisely is the government going to address all of these issues without causing new ones? The Northeast Corridor rail route between New York and Manhattan is to be expanded, renovated, improved, and future-proofed through the Gateway program, an extensive program of projects. It will be completed in stages so that the full rail line can continue to run even while construction is underway. Since the project's initial announcement in 2011 by New Jersey Senators Frank Lautenberg and Robert Menendez, as well as then Amtrak President Joseph Boardman, numerous major project components have made significant progress. Some have already been finished. And now for a detailed rundown of some of the main elements of the Gateway program, one by one. Beginning just northeast of Newark Penn Station, not to be confused with New York Penn Station, the Gateway program will renovate the 90-year-old dock bridge that spans the Passaic River. To minimize delays on the numerous train lines that utilize this crossing, this movable bridge will be transformed into a fixed one. The project is anticipated to be finished in 2028 and will cost an estimated $375 million. Following the way eastward, 3 entirely new bridges will replace the sawtooth bridges which were constructed more than a century ago. All of these new constructions will improve the route's capacity, speed, and safety. Work is scheduled to start in 2024 with an estimated $2 billion in construction expenditures. The Portal Bridge is the next item. This portion of the line, which was constructed in the early 1900s, is also beginning to show its age. It was constructed only 7 meters above the river, so boats must swim across to get beneath it. Boat traffic across the 113-year-old Portal North Bridge in New Jersey causes it to become jammed and back up the entire Northeast Corridor. The Gateway program intends to completely replace this structure with 2 brand new, fixed, and temporary bridges that could cost up to USD 1.8 billion each. Increased speeds and continuous travel are made possible by the new bridges. Construction on the first bridge to the north began in 2022, and it is now expected to open in 2027. The Frank-Lautenberg Station, located across the Hackensack River, is scheduled to undergo $1.8 billion upgrade that will enable more rail capacity and make room for the Bergen Loop project. For $1.3 billion, this new train will allow direct service from New York Penn Station to commuter rail lines like Maine, Pascagoula Valley, and Bergen County. Commuters from these 3 lines still have to change trains at Secaucus to go to Manhattan due to the current rail configuration. But after the new loop is built, travelers won't need to make any transfers and can take one-seat trips straight to New York. Both building projects require a significant amount of capital to move past the conceptual planning stage. Northeast. The over a century-old North River tunnels will receive much-needed restoration. As previously indicated, the tunnels sustained significant damage in the wake of Hurricane Sandy in 2012, and sadly, the concrete that surrounded the walls began to erode. Electrical systems and overhead cables have also sustained significant damage. The signal systems that are currently in use in the tunnel are these enormous 12,000-volt cables that date back to the 1930s, I believe are coated with whale oil. I mean, a lot of the things that are new in a modern 21st century tunnel will be old in a tunnel that is 113 years old. Since then, thousands of hours of delays have been caused by the tunnels, which have grown to be the only significant point of failure throughout the whole Northeast Corridor. However, present rail traffic needs to be redirected somewhere else before repairs can begin. Where, though? That's the situation with the recently constructed Hudson River Tunnel. It will be the Gateway program's single most crucial element. Presently anticipated to cost up to $16.1 billion US, it has truly emerged as one of the most costly public works projects in American history. However, this figure doesn't give the complete picture, even though it sounds impressive on its own. Although this is among the biggest investments in rail transportation in American history, the amount invested still pales in comparison to that of other nations. In contrast, America has only invested $120 billion in rail over the last 50 years, compared to Europe's slightly over $1 trillion over the same period. Thus, there is still more work to be done on the American rail system. The idea to construct a new train tunnel beneath the Hudson is not a very novel one. In actuality, a previous project known as the Access to the Region's Core, or ARC, presented a strategy quite similar to the Gateway program before it was even publicized. The plan called for building 2 additional rail tunnels to relieve the congestion. However, the project was eventually abandoned in 2010 despite some early progress and contracts that had already been signed. However, why? Politics in a word. Years ago, when we were building the original iteration of this, the Erie Tunnel, I was the head of public affairs at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, right? And an election destroyed that. Additionally, the Gateway. 3 governors negotiated that 30-page agreement for the program in 2016. The purpose of the newly established Gateway Development Commission, a federal bi-state entity, is to construct this project alone. We received significant federal environmental approval in May 2021, even though it took us 6 years, correct? You may also note that merely the Hudson River Tunnel project received $6.88 billion in federal grants and loans approved 2 weeks ago. Of the $16.1 billion needed for that project alone, we now have $11.3 billion. Thus, this is taking place. Thus, the Gateway program is truly in full swing. There are now 2 distinct phases of the project. Phase 2 will involve the restoration of the original North River tunnels after Phase 1, which entails building 2 new tunnels, is finished. The project is presently in the last stages of engineering and design, and excavation is anticipated to start in 2023 and be finished by 2035. Let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more content, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.